heard Donald Trump tonight talk about what he would do to accept the outcome of the election. Should he accept the results of this election without qualification?
Well, sure, he's going to accept the results of the election.
That's not what he said tonight.
Let me just kind of clarify this, because I know where he's coming from. He is obsessed, and in some ways rightfully so, about voter fraud, and he believes he's been totally mistreated by the media. Look, barring some sort of massive fraud situation, of course he's going to accept the outcome of the election. But when you read things about what happens in these precincts, what happens in places like Milwaukee, when the Milwaukee Police Department issued a 70-page report about voting irregularities in Milwaukee, let's not kid ourselves. Can we please not act like voter fraud and irregularities don't exist? They do. In a close election, it can be important. If the election isn't close, then obviously one way or the other, it's not going to be an issue. So I think people are obsessing over this issue, and I don't think you're going to get Republicans to back down on the fact that voter fraud is real and it needs to be dealt with, but it isn't something that, in most cases, overthrows an election. So that's kind of where I think he's coming from.
If he doesn't accept the results of the election, what happens to the rest of the Republicans on the ticket?
Well, first of all, I think he is going to accept the results because he's going to win.
I just push back a little, Chairman, because that's not what he said tonight on the stage. He said twice he would look into it. 3 weeks ago, he told me he would absolutely accept it without qualification.
Like I said before, because I think he's considering voter fraud. I think he's heard a lot of stories about it, and a lot of it is true.
But individualized voter fraud is different from widespread voter fraud. Do you think there's widespread voter fraud?
I think there can be widespread voter fraud.
Enough to affect the outcome of the election?
It can at times. Sure, it can. Why else would the Milwaukee Police Department put out a 70-page report in Milwaukee about widespread voter fraud? It wasn't the Republican Party that put out that report. It was the Milwaukee Police Department. This isn't fiction. This isn't made-up stuff. What I'm suggesting, though, is in most cases, it isn't an issue to upset the outcome of an election, but it's something that I think he thinks is serious and isn't willing to carte blanche concede the fact that it isn't possible. That's all he's saying.
House Speaker Paul Ryan, your friend, your longtime friend?
He's a great friend.
He is no longer
he's a great speaker.
He's no longer going to defend Donald Trump. Will you defend Donald Trump, and do you think the speaker's making the right decision?
But listen, what he's talking about is after the video came out, he went on a conference call and he said, "Look, I'm not going to sit around here and defend this video, but my job is to make sure that we keep the House." Keep the majority in the House, just like Speaker Boehner did. Look, I was with the Romney campaign. Speaker Boehner wasn't running around with Mitt Romney on his bus all over the country. He'd had his own work to do, and he had his own job to do, and that's what Paul Ryan's saying.
But is there a difference between not campaigning for a candidate and explicitly saying you're not going to defend your own candidate?
I didn't defend the video, and his campaign manager didn't defend the video. Donald Trump didn't defend the video. That's what we're saying.
Last one for you. There are some critics who say that you have been notably publicly silent.
Well, I'm talking to you, right, Hallie?
Where have you been?
I did an interview today. I did an interview last week. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The fact of the matter is Hillary Clinton would be a disaster for this country. She's had the opportunities to make the changes that she's talking about that she didn't make, and Donald Trump would be a much better choice for our country, and I thought he did a great job tonight.